Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back. It is time for a Pounds for Purrs workout. This session was done on February 28th. So it was a T-bar row and incline bench day, and also the start of a new cycle of training. I began with a half mile on the elliptical. That was the cardio warm-up, which only took 4 minutes and 13 seconds. Typically, it's usually more towards 4.5, 4:45, but for whatever reason, I got it done faster, and I'm not complaining, so I got it done in less than 4.5 minutes, and then went into the main lifts. Part of this, actually, is inspired by the main gym crush who was there, doing great stuff, as she always does. So I began with the T-bar row. And for warm-up sets, I did a set of 10 with 95 pounds, set of 8 with 120, and here you're seeing the new block of training, 10 by 4 with 150. So the same weights that I used from the third cycle of training for the 10 by 3, now I am simply adding volume and doing a 10 by 4. 10 more reps, 1 rep each set, 90 seconds of rest in between sets, and it was comfortable. As you adapt with this sort of training methodology, that's kind of how it works. So as you go back to older weights or previous weights that you used, even though you're doing more volume with it, it should be a little bit easier, especially if it would have been difficult to do this kind of volume. When you start adding reps, it actually makes a bit of a difference utilizing progressive overload that way versus just linear periodization, where you keep the same volume and just keep adding weight. This is a little bit more of a gradual approach, and one that I really quite enjoy using and teaching to clients. So when they think, oh, when you talk about overload, it just means add more weight. And that is one way, it's a very common way, but this is also a way to do it with volume. So you can keep the same weight and add more reps, and that's also overload. It's important to know that. But for the T-bar row, I'm very happy with where I'm at, especially just because I'm finally giving it this kind of focus and attention. But I really like the movement and can absolutely see myself using it again, either as a primary mover or even as an accessory. I think it's a fantastic exercise, and I will certainly be utilizing it more often. But it all just kind of depends on the context, the programming I'm giving myself, and also the options that go along with structuring a good, well thought out workout. But great exercise. For the accessory, I went to a pronated Pendlay Row, so I did a set of 8 with 135 as the warm-up, and then working sets were progressive. So basically all that means is I started off with a set of 8 using 185, then a set with 195, and finally a set of 205. That was the top working set, but instead of having the same weight for all sets, I decided to do 10-pound increases. So that was the T-bar row, good stuff, and here we are going into incline bench. Because I had done the T-bar row first, I completely took out the first set of 10 with the bar and went into a set of 8 with 95 pounds, a set of 6 with 135, and here you're seeing the 10 by 4 with 200. So I added another warm-up set. Could I have just gone from 135 to 200? Probably. The set with 185, most likely not necessary, but I put it in anyways just to play it a bit safe. And then for the working sets, good stuff here, good reps. At the very least, you're seeing a stoppage on the chest, which is kind of, unless I'm going for a 1 rep max, is a must for me. So if you're the kind of person who does a quick touch and go, not a bounce. Bounce is a different story. But if you are the type of bench presser who likes to just kind of do a light tap or light touch to the chest and then press, that's okay. It's not bad. I would recommend that you get stronger at lighter weights with more of a stoppage or pause. But if you do a legitimately good bench press rep, you won't get an argument from me. However, I will encourage you to find especially when you get towards plateaus and towards your 1 rep max, that you dial it back and utilize other training methods to get stronger. But that's a whole other story. I'll make a video completely about that another time. But for incline bench, here you're seeing a stoppage on the chest. For some reps, you are seeing a full out rest pause. Even though that's not the most important thing for me, I am selective when I'm doing rest pause work, especially with this kind of volume. When you're doing this many reps at this pace, you just won't be able to rest pause that often. And I'm probably going light enough where I can rest pause the majority, if not maybe even all of them. But there's also the point where that becomes a hindrance to your performance. So depending on volume, your frequency, your overload, the weight that you're using, the intensity, it could be a useful tool, but also you have to be careful when you get to the point where you can't and probably even shouldn't. But for right now, I'm not doing it all the time. I am selectively choosing the longer rest pause reps, and that's fine. That's just to get a little bit more out, but I really treat it from workout to workout. It's not a program thing, it's not something I'm predetermining, but something that I'm throwing in when I feel like I can, or just when I really just feel like doing it at all. But at the bare minimum, there's a stoppage on the chest. These are not touch and go, and they are certainly not bounced reps. Only when I'm going for like an all-out 1 rep max will you see something like that from me, but that's only in that context. For training, for building strength, building muscle, that stoppage on the chest is very important for me, and if I can hold it for a second or two, even better, but at the very minimum, that stoppage. And it's just for good reasons. It's not because I'm trying to be really technically mean about it. It's just, it's a good thing to do. It's a really, really good thing to do. Alright, now for the accessory, I went to, get this, a flat competition style bench press. Lately, I've been utilizing fly motions, I've been utilizing other exercises, especially old ones that I haven't done in a while, but I thought, why not go just to a regular, conventional bench press? And I used the same weights that I did for the Pendlay Row, so a warm-up set of 8 with 135, and then progressive sets for the 3x8 using 185, 195, and finally 205. Last thing I want to mention is a shout out to the woman who was bench pressing next to me. Awesome, strong, beautiful woman, and it was kind of fun because we were giving each other glances between sets, and we were basically bench buddies. And that's always fun when you make that sort of connection with someone. Alright everyone, adopt, don't chop.